it would appear as though that is why my power steering pump was not working anymore. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my 2004 GMC Envoy. I got a great video for you guys today. Today we're going to be replacing my power steering pump because I've been driving around for about a week now with no power steering, and it's starting to get annoying. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to replace this power steering pump. I'm going to show you the tools I'm going to use, and hopefully this video will save you guys some time and money when you change your power steering pump. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the air box, the air filter, and also I'm going to remove the windshield washer fluid reservoir just to give me enough space on this side over here to be able to work comfortably to get that power steering pump out of the way. Now would be a good time, if you have to go ahead and replace your air filter. Mine's a little bit dirty. I'm going to blow this thing out. Looks good enough to reuse, just a little dusty. And to remove the washer fluid reservoir, you have two 13mm bolts. There's one up at the top. There's one tucked way down on the front side. You have to remove those. There are a couple of these wire loom clips. You just pop those off with your flathead screwdriver. And then there's also these electrical connectors for the pumps, for the washer fluid as well. Now once you've got this guy out, there are two feed tubes that are on the front side here. And then there's also your connection on the inboard side for the fluid level sensor. Just be sure to unplug that pigtail. Unplug your two tubes. And then just set this off to the side, and now would be a good time to clean it too. So now you can see with the air box out of the way and the washer fluid reservoir out of the way, we got plenty of room to work to get this guy out. Before I begin actually removing the power steering pump, I want to remove any excess fluid or any fluid that you have in the reservoir. That way when we pull the hoses off the bottom of the reservoir, we kind of minimize our spillage onto the ground. Now, I just wanted to show you something real quickly. Again, like I mentioned, the symptom that I had that really drove me to replace my power steering pump is I didn't have any power steering. So one of the reasons that you could lose power steering obviously is your power steering pump or your rack and pinion goes out. But for me, I checked the rack and pinion. I did just a cursory overview, and I looked at each end of the rack and pinion where the tie rods go in. I didn't see any leakage there, really anything that led me to believe the rack was bad. Also, based on the fluid level in my reservoir here, I don't know if you can see that, but it is full to the cold mark. Granted, I am on a little bit of a decline here at the house, but nonetheless, we have a full reservoir, so I don't have any loss of fluid anywhere that I can tell. So by process of elimination, that led me to want to change out the pump. But again, before we do that, I'm going to remove the fluid, and to do that I've just got a simple vacuum pump here. You could also use a turkey baster, but I did not have one, so this is what I have, and this is what we're going to use. Now that I've got all the fluid out of the reservoir, before I disconnect, or before I remove the 3 bolts, and obviously I've got to remove the serpentine belt, I'll show you guys how to take the tension off that in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and remove the high pressure line, which is on the bottom, and for that you're going to use a 5/8 inch wrench. Underneath the reservoir, right in the center of the frame, there is the low pressure line. It's just a 3/8 inch piece of rubber tubing, and it's held on by just a spring clamp. You want to take that off with a pair of pliers. And I also have down below some cardboard. I've got a drip pan down below, and I've got a little rag here just to catch any extra spills that may fall. And there's the low pressure side that came off without any problems. I had a little bit of spillage on the back side there. But again, that's why I've got that piece of cardboard down below. Always want to work as clean as you can. And I think we're definitely going to have to do some cleanup on the frame down below once we're all done. But now that we've got both of those lines off, let me show you how we're going to take the tension off the serpentine belt and then also actually remove the power steering pump. Now to get your serpentine belt off, to relieve tension on that, what you need is your 3/8" drive socket, or socket wrench, which I already have. There's a hole inside the tensioner pulley on the passenger side. Just put that in the square hole, and I'm using just an extension, a 1/2" drive extension with this happens to be a 22mm socket, just as a cheater bar. Just rotate that towards the driver's side, and your belt will come right off. Now just be careful, just be mindful of your position of your socket, because when you let this go, it's going to go further towards the passenger side than it was to begin with, and you just want to make sure it doesn't go too far to put pressure on these hard lines down below. The power steering pump is held on by 3 bolts that are actually right behind the pulley. You can see one here at the top, then there's one on the right side and one on the bottom, and you just want to rotate your pulley to line up the holes in the pulley to those bolts, and then remove those with, I believe it is, yeah, a 13mm socket. And there she is in all her glory. Now that we have the old pump off, the pump that I purchased is just the pump. It does not come with the pulley nor the reservoir. So we just have to swap off the old reservoir as well as the pulley. The reservoir is pretty straightforward. There are 2 clips, one on the top and one on the bottom one on the top and one on the bottom that you just have to pry off with a flathead screwdriver. And then to get your pulley off, I went to my local auto parts store and I rented a power steering pump pulley remover kit and installer kit. Yep. It would appear as though that is why my power steering pump was not working anymore. I don't know if you can see that, but this shaft just came right out. So it looks like this shaft got sheared off somehow inside the pump. So even though this guy was turning, the pump was not actually pumping fluid through the system. So, good thing we've got a new one. So now I'm just going to install the new pulley onto the new pump just by using the tool that comes with the kit. So there we go. That was pretty straightforward, and you just want to make sure that the new pulley is flush with the top of that shaft right there, and you're good to go with that. Now the only thing left to do to swap over the old parts to the new pump is take off this reservoir, and to do that there are 2 clips holding the reservoir on, one on the bottom, one on the top. And I'll show you how to remove these clips. It's quite simple, and I'm sure there are various ways you could do this, but what I'm doing is get you guys in frame here. There is an inner tab, hopefully you can see that, that needs to come up as you're tapping this thing sideways to slide it off. And what I'm using is just kind of an angled pick here, and I'm just reaching in, lifting up on that inner tab while I'm tapping the clip down. Now that we've got the reservoir off of the old pump, all we have to do is switch it back over, put these clips on. But before you do, be sure to grab this plastic tube out of the old pump, and there is an O-ring that you're going to want to replace. And the kit that I bought, or the pump that I bought, actually came with a new O-ring for the reservoir, and it also came with a new O-ring for the high pressure side. So you want to be sure to replace both of those. And there, I noticed there's actually a little bit of fluid inside the pump already, so that'll help lubricate that O-ring when you install it.
What's this?
That is the power steering fluid.
For what?
For the new power steering pump. Yeah, right there. Tap that clip. Here, hold the hammer right here. There you go. Keep going. I'll help you. Ready? Oh, keep going. We're almost there. New reservoir is installed, and we are ready to put that back on the car.
Can I do it too?
Sure. Alright guys, now that we've got all the parts swapped over from the old pump to the new pump, I've got the new pulley put on, I've got the new reservoir put on. The only thing left to do is put this back on the car, get everything hooked up, and flush the system. I'm not going to bore you guys with video on how I put this back. Just be sure to go back and rewatch the video. We're just going to do the exact steps in opposite. But to see how I flush this power system, be sure to check this video out right here. And guys, as always, I appreciate you stopping by the channel, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.